those people, that title rep, is paid a lot of money to do everything they can to find out who the top producers are in their areas and then become best friends with them. So if you're a real estate investor and you meet one of these title agents, they want to meet you too because you might do a deal. Trust me, they're going to talk to you. They like you. When we're starting out this business, we're usually by ourselves, like I said. We're on an island. We just sat there. We just learned a lot about wholesaling or flipping or whatever. So if I was to start out in a brand new market from scratch, the first thing I would do is I would find. Hey everybody, I'm Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate. Today I'm going to show you guys how to build an awesome real estate investment team. Now, why is this important? If you're just starting out in today's market, it's now more than ever more important to try to build a business and try to build a team that really doesn't cost you much money, if any money at all. But these are key people that you're going to need if you want to become successful and also have less stress in your business. Now, for those of you guys that already have a business and you already have a team, I'm going to give you guys some tips and maybe some people you're missing on your team, but also some ways to scale back a little bit so you can still be effective, but maybe not cost as much money out of pocket. There's some amazing people you can add on your real estate team that really don't cost you anything at all to have them on your team to begin with. Most of us start this business alone, kind of like on an island by ourselves. We read a book, we go to a seminar, we do something, and we're by ourselves doing kind of a DIY business. Well, if you're going to grow to the next level, if you want to make your business really successful in real estate, you got to surround yourself with the right people, and we're going to go over that right now. Okay, so when we're starting out this business, we're usually by ourselves, like I said. We're on an island, we just sat there, we just learned a lot about wholesaling or flipping or whatever, or maybe we have a full-time job and we have extra money that we want to invest. Now, when we're doing this by ourselves, this business is tremendously challenging. There's a lot of experts out there, there's a lot of professionals out there that we should be adding onto our team from day one before you even start buying anything. And these are people that are designed to help you in your real estate investment career. And the best part about all of it is that these people are free until you actually produce something, until you actually buy a deal or actually need them to do some sort of transaction with you. It's fantastic. Now, later in the video, I'm going to go over people that you should add onto your team once you actually can afford them. There are some staffing positions, there are some professionals that you do need on your team as you grow your business that are going to cost you some money on a regular basis. And I'll go over those people towards the end. Very important people, both sides of the equation. So who do you need first that costs you nothing unless you use them? The very first person, almost everybody knows they need this person, but I want to go over it a little bit more, and that's a good real estate agent. Real estate agents are super important. And right now, joking aside, they're everywhere. Everywhere there's a real estate agent. That's one of the bad things about real estate agents is you throw a rock, you hit 15 of them. But that said, there's really good ones out there that are great with working with real estate investors. In fact, there's a bunch of them on biggerpockets.com. Definitely check it out. You can tell which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. Make sure you're looking for the good ones. Now, that said, why is a realtor so important, a real estate agent so important to have on your team, especially an investor-friendly real estate agent? It's super important because these are the people that when you don't know anything about how to comp a property, do a comparable, or figure out what the ARV is after repair value, or whether or not the as-is price on a property is the right price, real estate agents, that's what they're really good at, or the good ones are really good at. So when you find a property, whether you're sourcing it yourself, right, or you sourcing it from other people, you should have a team of a handful of real estate agents right out from the beginning and find the ones that like you the most. So if I was to start out in a brand new market from scratch, the first thing I would do is I would find 3 to 5 solid real estate agents that were either referred to me, that were solid on BP, somebody that actually like introduced me to somehow, met them at a networking medium, but they were strong real estate agents that are used to working with real estate investors. So why get 3 to 5 right off the bat? 3 to 5 right off the bat because I don't know which ones are actually the really good ones until I start putting them to work. So let's say I'm working with the second person I need on my team, which is a wholesaler. One of those wholesalers sends me a deal. I'm going to want a realtor to double check the math that knows that market specifically. They could tell me, hey, this property is priced too high, you shouldn't buy it. Or they could tell me the after repair value, if I do a certain amount of repairs, is going to be worth X. The only way you get around that is if you believe you're good enough to be able to do your own comparables and do your own market analysis for those deals. Now, if you're like me, when I first started out, I didn't know anything. So I had to rely on the expertise of these real estate agents and became integral parts of my team. And still today, real estate agents are one of the most integral parts of my business to make sure that I'm buying the right properties for the right price and repairing them to the level that they need to be to get the right ARV. So the second person I mentioned already, wholesalers. Wholesalers are key if you want to find off-market deals besides just real estate agents. Real estate agents can find pocket listings, they can find properties that maybe they tied up for listing-wise, but wholesalers out there doing direct-to-seller marketing, and they're trying to find sellers to sell properties at a discounted price, preferably, and they're selling directly to an end buyer, such as myself or yourself. Now, if you're working with wholesalers like I did for years, here's the key with working with them though. One is not good enough, because a good wholesaler might only do a couple deals a year and you might not get all of them. You might only get one of them. Most wholesalers maybe find one deal in their entire career, and the question is, are you going to be the one that they send that deal to? So you got to network with a lot of them. The third person you need, of course, is you need to actually be able to pay for these deals, and that's typically a lender. So unless you're already rich or have a lot of money set aside somewhere, or a lot of equity you can pull out on a cash out or an equity line of credit, you're typically going to need to borrow more money in order to do this business. So you need a lender. Now, the lenders could be private money lenders, hard money lenders, joint venture equity partners, traditional banks, community banks. It could be all of them. And as you grow your real estate business, you should be keeping a list, a spreadsheet of actual lenders that you reach out to, you contact on a regular basis, that you can reach out to at any time. You might find a deal, let's say that you get a single family deal in this particular market over here that only maybe a handful of lenders like to lend on. You might find another deal in another market, like a commercial lender, like commercial property, that only certain portfolio lenders like to lend on. And if you have a list of all these different lenders that are out there, you can pick and choose who you call up to borrow money from and work out those terms. Really important to keep a list, and really important to constantly network, because some lenders go out of business, some lenders change their terms, new lenders always pop up, new products come out. This is a work in progress throughout your entire career. One of my pro tips I can give you about working with lenders right now is they're also your free underwriters. And now, what do I mean by that? If I tie up a deal with a wholesaler and I think I'm going to buy it, or even a realtor, and I don't know if it's a good deal or not, maybe I'm a little new, I can send that deal to a hard money lender, right? Most hard money lenders are going to lend on you if it's a decent deal, right? But if a hard money lender looks at it and goes like, we're not going to lend on this deal, you should be asking yourself, why? Why aren't they going to lend on it? If it's a good deal, like a 75% LTARV, loan to after repair value, right? Why wouldn't a hard money lender lend on it? They would. But if all of a sudden the ARV's off, your budget's off, they don't think it's a good deal, and they're not lending you the money, you should ask yourself why. They just did free underwriting for you, and you might be dodging a bullet at that point. Or you might have the wrong lender. But something I did for years is I would send my deals to specific hard money lenders in my market just to see if they would lend on it. And if they would, then I would look at the deal longer. If they wouldn't, then I would skip and move on. The second pro tip with working with any kind of lender, and why you need it, especially when you're starting out, is they can give you proof of funds. Great hard money lenders out there. My company, I have a company that does this. We can give proof of funds to most people without ever really looking at your finances, because it's not a guarantee. It's basically saying, yeah, we would lend on this property for X amount of dollars to this person as a hard money lender if they meet this criteria. But that wholesaler, if you're a wholesaler, can use that piece of paper from a company like mine or other people's to be able to go out and put offers on properties. It's a proof of funds letter. A lot of hard money lenders will give those to you just because you have a pulse. So check that out. You might be able to use that for your business. The fourth person that you should have on your team is your title agent, title representative. Now, depending on what side of the country you live on, you have title reps mostly on the West Coast that also do escrow. And then on the East Coast, you have closing attorneys instead of escrow agents most of the time, most states. And then there are still title insurance reps. Now, this might change depending on what side of the world you're in and what state you're in, depending on how you close your deals. So either way, I'm going to bundle a few people into one. You need a great escrow closing agent or attorney closing, depending on what state you're in, and you need a great title rep, which that changes depending on what state you're in. So sorry for the confusion on this. But case in point, on the West Coast and a lot of the middle states, they use escrow closing agents. You have to have a great one, especially if you wholesale deals, especially if you invest. You need an escrow company or a closing attorney that knows how to work with real estate investors. If they're just your mom and pop, deal with everyday conventional loan, end users, people that are gonna live in the home type of title and closing agency, that's going to give you so many pains in your business that I can't even list them all out in this video because there's a lot. So find one. They are worth their weight in billions of dollars. Trust me, when you build this business. Great escrow and closing attorneys are so important in this business. Now, depending on the state you're in, who's the one that interacts with the realtor? In my state, in Washington, in California, and Nevada, and Arizona, all the different states I've invested in over the years, they all use title reps that go out there and source realtors and investors like myself to network with them to tell them to bring their business to their title agency, Fidelity, First American, whatever, right? They're all out there. So why do I say network with them? Those people, that title rep is paid a lot of money to do everything they can to find out who the top producers are in their areas and then become best friends with them. So if you're a real estate investor and you meet one of these title agents, they want to meet you too because you might do a deal. Trust me, they're going to talk to you. They like you, right? And if you say, who's the best realtors you know that work with investors and that do volume, they're going to know who those people are. I found some of my best connections dealing with title agents and escrow attorneys. So use that. It's huge. And of course, the next person you're going to need is contractors. And I don't mean just a contractor. You're going to need lots of contractors in your career. This is a rotating door. Sometimes you get really lucky. You find a good general contractor that's going to be with you for years. I had an awesome one for years and years and years, and I loved him to death. And still to this day, if he called me, I would do anything for him. But he grew so big through my business, which I love, and he started doing his own properties. He's now an investor, and he doesn't work for other people. He does his own thing. Well, nothing wrong with that, but it's a rotating door. So I always have to have more contractors coming in. Why contractors are also important for you to have on your team is that if you don't understand rehab, then you need to go get bids and get people to go out there and help you build scopes of work and so forth for your projects. Now, these are typically free, but sometimes if you get some really busy contractors, you might have to pay them a little bit to be able to give estimates for you. That's rare. In today's market, the way the market's headed, I think contractors are going to get freed up a little bit, and you should have no problem finding more contractors to bid your jobs for you, which help you figure out if the deal is good or not. Now, I'll put in the contractor subnote that a homeowner inspector is also a good person to have on your team as well. You don't have to do anything with them unless you're ready to have a house inspected, but it does cost you money to do that. The way you can get the most value out of that, though, is that you walk the house with the homeowner inspector when you're doing it, and you have your notepad with you, and you take lots and lots and lots of notes. I did this very early in my career when I needed to learn rehab better. I wouldn't pay a homeowner inspector for a report. I'd pay for a homeowner inspector to be able to walk the property with me, take lots of photos, and then I would write down the report on my own notepad. And I saved myself maybe $300 on an inspection just because they wouldn't have to spend so many hours making the report. That's a good pro tip for you guys to pay attention to. Now, one of the last things, right, that is kind of that I'm putting this down here as a subnote, that it's a maybe person that you need to have on your team depending on you and your skills and who you already have around you. But that's somebody that would be more of a designer, architect type person for your projects. Depending on the type of projects you're doing, if you're like me and you're not good at picking out finishes and stuff for your projects, then you got to lean on somebody else to do this. Now, the key pro tip to your design person on this that I used was going back to step number one, which is a good, solid realtor that understands investing, that understands after repair value. So I used to do this a lot. We'd find a property that's totally messed up, and then I'd get my realtors involved, and they would help me build out the finishes that needed to be done to the property in order to be able to sell it for whatever amount of dollars that we wanted to sell it for the ARV. I'd make my realtor help me build out the finishes for the project because guess who's listing it? That realtor. So if the realtor thinks it's worth 400 grand, if we put in all these finishes, then let's have the realtor pick out the finishes so they can put their money where their mouth is because they're going to get the back end listing. This is the same with BRRRRs and rentals. You get your property management involved, right? You find a property manager on your team, which is another person you need. I just threw that one in there, sorry guys. But a property manager to come on your team, so that way they can help you pick out what you need for your finishes and so forth as well. A good solid property manager is gonna help you out with that, so you gain the right value for the rents that you need in there. So two key tricks on that stuff. Architects, I wouldn't use them unless you need them for structural issues and things like that and permits, but that's besides the point. And then last but not least, the thing that everybody thinks that you need to pay a lot of money for, that I don't need to pay anything for, and neither do you, no matter who you are, and that's somebody to drive your properties and somebody to drive pictures, take pictures of new acquisitions, take pictures of properties that you are looking to buy, and also take pictures and QC projects that you already own as you grow your business. Now, why I say that's free. You're watching this video, you're excited about real estate. Maybe you're a newer investor and a guy like me calls you up and says, hey, I met you at a meetup. Would you like to drive a couple of my properties and learn how the rehab stuff goes and see the progress and stuff? And in return, can you just take a bunch of photos for me? You could also call me and ask questions too. How many of you guys watching this video right now would totally jump in their car and go drive an active rehab project for somebody and take pictures for them just because you want to go see a deal and see what it looks like and be able to ask questions from an experienced investor? So many people would do that in a heartbeat. In addition, if you're doing acquisitions and you can't go drive all the properties, if somebody's like going out, if you need to get pictures on a property and stuff, there's plenty of also newer investors, excited people that would love to go drive that property and take pictures for you and put them in Dropbox or Google Drive for you. We use that all the time. We've done it for years, and it's integral to my business. It costs us nothing. All right, so I'm going to end on this. Who do you need on your team once you can actually afford people? Because early on in our career, we can't afford anybody. It's just us by ourselves, right? And we don't know who to bring on. I've already listed out all the people you can bring on your team that you have to have, that you don't need to pay them anything until you get a deal or until they do something. These people you do need to add onto your team once you can afford them. First person I would say right out the bat, a lot of people say assistant, project manager, whatever, right? Some sort of stat. No, I don't agree with that at all. The first person is your bookkeeper. You need a good bookkeeper on your team if you're going to do this business. If it's not going to be you, it's got to be somebody else. And if it's not, if you don't know what QuickBooks Online is, it definitely needs to be somebody else. So a good bookkeeper, not only somebody that's a good bookkeeper, but somebody that's a good bookkeeper for real estate investing is crucial in your long-term success in this business. And the sooner you get a solid bookkeeper in your business that can help you structure your finances the right way with the right classifications, the right books, the 10x better your life is going to be in the future once you grow this business. Please trust me on that. Next person that you're going to have to write a check for as well that you don't typically need right away is going to be some sort of asset protection attorney, some sort of entity corporate structure attorney. This is where people say, should I get an LLC, S Corp, whatever, do it in my own name? Those are all things that that person can help you out with. Where I believe a lot of new people fail is that they spend a bunch of money on that right away without ever doing a deal. Depending on the type of deals and what you're going to do will depend on whether you need that person in the beginning or need them later. My suggestion is just go out there and start making stuff happen. And then once you can afford it, then go ahead and get an entity of some sort, but you're going to need somebody to handle that for you. If you've never done a deal, you don't really need it. And you can always make one in the middle of escrow if you need to once you tie one up. If you don't know what that means, then you got to learn. Watch more videos. So the other person I would say that you need next is kind of a flip side. You either can pay for an assistant or you can pay for a project manager depending on what level of your business you're in and how far you go. Some people like to offload the construction in their business sooner rather than later, in which case you're going to need some project managers on your team. That's a big check. That's a big pain. That's something that you need to be able to afford and scale up to. Sometimes you just start out with an assistant, somebody that can help you out with all the different little bogging down things in your business to help you like free up more time. Right. But the key to any of those people is make sure they're the right people in the right seats and you don't just hire whoever's most convenient. That is very, very important long term. Now, I dumped a lot at you guys in this video. Make sure you guys comment and subscribe to this video. Make sure you like it as well, but make sure you comment, like, subscribe. You could follow me on Instagram at Tarl Yarber, and I'll see you guys at the next video. But for the most part, this looks like a nice, clean little house. And this, okay, maybe we're not gonna be able to negotiate too much on. This is the exact same house. This is what was inside the house. So, don't judge a book by its cover. When we roll up on a project, there's some big exterior red flags that we're looking for right away.